Hello, my name is MooingCat and welcome to my strategy guide for the 2023 St. Patrick's Day event. In this video, I will go through all you need to know about this event, including a bunch of different suggestions for how many towns to complete, all the way from very chill 2-town strategies, all the way up to rewarding but hectic 10, 13, all the way up to 18 town strategies. I will also go over the managers I recommend for the town for each of the 3 different town types. I also will go quickly through my upgrade plans, both my simple ones from last year and my improved ones this year. You might have already seen some videos of my town tutorials where I go through these in detail. I'll make sure to link those in the description. In addition to that, I will start this event or this guide by quickly going through all of my resources for this event, because I do have quite a lot of resources, as you can see. I will also quickly go through the main building and all the other rewards, the new buildings that you can get, so that you have a better idea of what to aim for. And then after that, I will finally go into all of the strategies, explain them in turn. I'll be grouping them a little bit, but yeah, I'll go through them and you can figure out which one is best for you. So if you want to skip ahead to a specific section, you can use the timestamps in the description. I do want to say that this video assumes you have a basic understanding of how the minigame works and how you play the towns. So if you're not familiar, I would recommend going through some of my other resources. Now, before I go through them, just quickly, if you do find this video helpful, please leave a like and a comment, because it does truly help me out. And also feel free to share it with your friends and guildmates. All right, let's quickly go through all of the resources I have for this event. So today I will be using 3 of them. I will be using my event tutorial, my written event tutorial, which is this guide here. I will not go through all of it, but I will go through parts of it. I also have a written strategy guide, which is the written version of this video, and I'll be using this quite extensively in this video. In addition to those, I also have my spreadsheet, which you might remember from previous years. I originally made this in 2021, then I updated it last year, and now at version 3, I have updated it yet again. Most importantly, with some updated strategies here. So you can find that as well linked here in both of these guides and also in the description of this video. I'll also add a pinned comment going over them. Now in that spreadsheet, I kind of already showed it, but I have my building upgrade guides, which show which order I recommend building or upgrading the buildings or factories in each town. Both the simple versions I made last year, and also some slightly improved ones that I've made this year. These you complete the same number of tasks with these. You have the same number of managers. The only difference is that it has a slightly different order, which saves a bit of time. Saves a bit of time essentially. All right. Now, in addition to that, I also have a bunch of videos. First of all, I am not going to make a new minigame tutorial this year because the one I made last year still works great. So I have linked that as well in the description. And here, if you're not familiar with it, I recommend skipping ahead to 207 here or 206. And you can get an overview of how the event works, what the buildings are called and all of that. And that'll be helpful for this guide or this video if you don't know already. I also have a video on event strategies, which is the one you're watching right now. I'll add that as well afterwards. Then I have 6 town walkthroughs or tutorials. So here I simply play through the entire town. I've of course edited it down to around 5-10 minutes or so it's quite manageable to watch, where I simply go through step by step all the different actions I make, the upgrade order I take, and all of that. You can find that in these videos. And I think especially if you're new, these ones will be quite helpful in showing you how the event works as well. I've not made it quite yet, but by the time you're watching this, I probably will also have the improved Town 3 versions as well for these walkthroughs. And then finally, this one is also from last year, but I have a video on how to use the event spreadsheet here. And now that's mainly for all of these extra parts up here, which you don't need to use if you don't want to. That's more for people who keep or think that's interesting. All you really need, I think, is this and the upgrade orders, and that's things that I will cover in this video. All right, so that's my main resources for this event. Again, all of those will be linked in the description. Let's move on and quickly talk about the buildings or rewards in this event. So the main building is the Druid Hut, which is the first building. You might have already heard it. It has an additional level that you can only get by using a separate upgrade kit. It's called the Archdruid upgrade kit or Golden upgrade kit. Because of that, I have separated this into the level 9 building and also the level 10, the Archdruid Hut version. Now, this is the final level, and I will say that all of you will be able to get this, but from the event itself, you might not get more than this, and then, as you'll see, from this, you will be able to get this eventually. All right, so let's quickly go through them. The Druid Hut is 5x4, with, again, 10 levels, 9 and 10. Interestingly, or perhaps not, it doesn't have any population or happiness, and this is a new trend we've seen for a few events now. I think it started with the Halloween or winter event. The buildings haven't really been providing population. This one doesn't either, so if you're a new player, that might suck. For old established players, doesn't really matter. Now, the level 9 building gives 1 fragment of the Archdruid upgrade kit every day, and you need 150 of these. So if you're not able to get the Archdruid upgrade kit from the event itself, which, as I will go over, you probably will not, you will eventually get it from these fragments from the level 9 building. So for a lot of my strategies, I will be focusing on getting the level 9 building, but more on that in a moment. Now, this is boosted by Blue Galaxy, for example, but if you don't have that, it will take at most 150 days to get enough fragments here to upgrade it to level 10. Okay, moving on. The Druid Hut also gives fragments of trees. So we have 3 other new buildings in this event: the Tree of Patience, Tree of Vitality here, and Tree of Silence, which I'll go over in a moment. The Druid Hut gives fragments of 2 of those versions. It gives, or has a 70% chance of giving fragments for the Tree of Patience, 5 fragments at level 9, and it has a 30% chance of giving fragments of the Tree of Vitality, again 5 fragments. This also has a 50% chance of giving a 100% coin boost, and a 50% chance of getting or giving a 8-hour mass coin rush. So it's coin rush, not supply rush, but it is still quite good, and you can sell these for quite a lot to the antique dealer. So it's actually quite nice for that. It gives some forge points, has a base of 3 and 4 more if it is motivated, so 7 forge points, and it gives both attack and defense for attacking army, all the way up to 17 attack and 20% defense for the attacking army. That is around 1.7 combined attack per tile, which is quite good, but it's not quite up there with the likes of Mountain Reserve, Heroes Tavern, and House of the Wolf, which give around 2.2 combined attack per tile. Now, the Druid Hut level 10, this doesn't give the Archdruid upgrade kit fragments anymore. Other than that, it gives the same rewards, just slightly or massively improved actually. So the fragments here are the same types of trees, but you get twice as many, 10 fragments instead of 5. And you need 100 fragments for each of these trees. This is actually the same. You still have a 50% chance of 100% coin boost and 50% chance of 8-hour mass coin rush kit. It gives up to 12 forge points instead of 7. and up to 22% attack and 26% defense for attacking army, depending on your age. And this is just below 2.2 combined attack per tile, so at level 10, the Archdruid Hut is comparable to the Mountain Reserve, Hero's Tavern, and House of the Wolf. So that's the main building, and I think it's a really good building, all considered, and I would definitely get it if I were you. Now, the way to get the building, it's mostly the same as last year, but it's actually a little bit easier this time. So one thing from grand prizes, this year you get one every other grand prize. In past events, you got one every third grand prize. So you would get a kit here, one here at 100, one at 175, and so on. So it's actually easier to get the kits from grand prizes, which is nice. And here you'll also see that after you have completed 300 tasks, which is quite a lot, you will get 50 fragments of the Archdruid upgrade kit. Then at 450 tasks, you will get another 50. And finally, at 600, you will get another 50. So in order to get the Archdruid building during the event itself, without buying the event pass, you would have to land here at 600 tasks. And I will go over that later on in my strategies, but just a quick spoiler, you do have to complete 18 towns if you want to get all the way here. So that's not really achievable for most, but again, the level 9 building does give one fragment here, so eventually you will get this regardless. Alright, let's move on to these trees. All of these are 1x1, but interestingly, they do require a road connection, which is brand new for a 1x1 building. I think it's quite an interesting choice, and I think one area where you can place these, for example, would be at the ends of roads. If they dead end into an open, or the side of your city, for example, these could very easily be fitted in at the end of that, for example. But yeah, I don't mind it, but I've seen a lot of people complain about the road requirement. So the Tree of Patience gives or has a 25% chance of giving 1 forge point and a 75% chance of giving 2 fragments of the self-aid kit. It also gives between 1 and 3% defense for the city defense. So overall, not really that good of a building. And this one you can get as a fragment from the Druid Hut, which I mentioned above. You can get it from the event pass, and you can also get it from the Celtic chests, or the after town rewards, the chests you open after town, so you can get them from there. Then we have the Tree of Silence, 1x1 again. This one has a 50% chance of 4 forge points. So this one, 0.25 forge points per day. This one all the way up to 2 forge points per day, so a lot better. You also have a 50% chance of getting 2 renovation kit fragments. It also gives 1 to 2, depending on your age, attack for attacking army, which is very nice. And it also gives a bit of city defense, which most probably don't care about. Now, this one is actually only available from the event pass. So unless you spend real money, you will not be getting this tree here. That doesn't really matter for me personally, because the best tree, Tree of Vitality, is available from the same sources as the Tree of Patience. It's available from the Druid Hut, 30% chance as you saw, from the event pass, and also from the after town rewards. This one gives a guaranteed 1 forge point per day. It gives 1 fragment of a renovation kit per day. It gives between 1 and 2 attack for attacking army, and between 1 and 2 defense for attacking army. So this building here, it's not as good as the Sentinel Outpost when it comes to attack, but it is still very good there, and you also do get this additional forge point. So yeah, I think this is a very good building. So you get up to 4 combined attack per tile, or a little bit less if you include the road, which you should. So yeah, a little bit less, but still very nice. Now, I did mention these after town chests. You've probably seen them from previous events. The Celtic chests, I'm not sure, I think that's a new name this time. I don't think they had a name last year. Anyways, not important. Here we have some very interesting rewards. So the way this works, in case you don't know, when you complete a town, you will get 6 chests to choose from. Each chest there are 6 slots for these chests, and for each slot, the reward will be chosen at random between the options. Now, the chances here are probably not equal, because one thing, we don't know the chances, but one thing we do know, one thing that was mentioned in a changelog on beta, is that the Tree of Vitality here has a lower chance than Tree of Patience. So if they are already messing around with the chances here, they might be for the other ones as well. But that's not guaranteed. Anyways, so here in slot 1, you have a bunch of kits, not really that interesting. In slot 2, I have to rename this actually, it's not Tower anymore. You have the Druid Temple selection kit, which was the event from 2 years ago, I think. 2021, yeah. You have Celtic Trees kit and Celtic Altars kit, which might not sound familiar. That's because they are new. So these are for the Celtic Forest kit, set. Now, the trees here, these 3 buildings have been separated out from the 2 bigger buildings, which is not ideal. However, these are level 2. So instead of having to get 2 of these for each building, they're already at level 2 in these selection kits, which is really nice. And I would definitely recommend looking into the Celtic Forest set, because it is quite a nice one. All right, in the next slot, you have the Celtic Farmstead selection kit, which is last year's main building. You also have, I need to update this. This has been removed. Yeah, that's been removed. My bad. In addition to that, you also have a chance of getting the Tree of Vitality and a chance of getting the Tree of Patience as the option. Now, in the 4th slot here, you have a premium building, so either a residential, production, culture, or decoration building, which you could place if you want to, but you can probably just sell it to the antique dealer. Then for resources, here you have some metals, forge points, or goods. And then finally, in the last slot, either the Mountain Reserve selection kit or the Hero's Tavern. Both of these are really good, as you probably know, particularly the Eagle Mountain and the Hero's Tavern at level 10. Both of these are really good, and yeah, definitely something worth aiming for, if you ask me. All right, let's close all of those. So that's the after town rewards. Finally, before I go into strategies, when it comes to currency, we have the same amount this year actually as we had last year, 11,200 pots. You can also get the newsletter, which probably has 500. It has had that the last 2 years, so I would be surprised if it has changed this time. And you also have incidents, of course, and you should be able to get a decent amount there as well. This was actually 2 years ago, I think. I got 1,200, but the rate seems to be the same this year. So don't be surprised if you're able to get above 1,000 pots from incidents as well. So somewhere between 11 and 13,000 is probably a good estimate for what you can get for free. All right. With that out of the way, let's move on to strategies, starting with some basic concepts and recommendations. So, as I already went over, the Druid Hut, there are a few different sources to get them. From the milestones, you can get 3 upgrade kits, or 3 levels, level 1 building and 2 upgrades. From the grand prizes, again, 1 every other grand prize, which is a nice change this year. And the final way you can get them is by buying all the chests after a town. So if you buy all 6 chests that are presented after a town, you will get 1 selection kit for the main building. And yeah, so that's the 3 ways to get the main building. You can't change the milestones. So the main difference between the strategies is how many you pick up from grand prizes and how many you get from buying all chests after a town. So that's what I'll go over in a moment. Now, the chests after a town, let's talk a little bit about that and how many you should buy how many you should buy. Now this will differ from strategy to strategy, but I can give you some general advice on if and how many you should buy after a town. So the first question you should ask yourself is, do you need the Druid Hut selection kit from that town? If you need that, which will depend on your strategy, then you should buy all chests. And something new this time is that if you buy all 6 chests at the same time, you get a discount. So normally the price, and the price has actually been decreased slightly. This one was 250 last year, this 500 and this 1000. So all of these prices have been decreased a bit actually. But yeah, normally if you buy each chest one by one, it'll cost you 1,850 pots. But if you buy all at the same time, so first you have to open the free chest, but then you're presented with an option to buy all the remaining 5 chests. If you do, it will only cost 1,400 pots, which is another nice change this event. So anyways, if you do need the selection kit, you should buy all 6 chests. If you don't need the Druid Hut selection kit, you could still buy chests. The important question here, first one at least, is do you have any spare pots? If you do have spare pots, then you can buy chests. And depending on how many spare pots you have, the more chests you can buy. Again, I'll go over that more in detail in the separate strategies. Now, one thing that another point to consider here, if you do not need the selection kit and you do have spare pots, you should also ask yourself, do I want any of the rewards in this town, after this town? Say, for example, you are looking for the Mountain Reserve. I think it has a 50-50% chance, either the Mountain Reserve or the Hero's Tavern. So say you want the Mountain Reserve, then if the town has a Mountain Reserve after it, then you probably should spend pots, if you have spare, trying to get this. If this is the only thing you want and it is not available after that town, then you can just skip ahead to the next town and perhaps buy after that instead. Now, if you don't have any spare pots, then of course you shouldn't buy any, or many chests at least. You can get the free chest, but beyond that you probably shouldn't buy any more, unless you do want to spend a bit of diamonds to get additional ones. Alright. Another thing, as usual, I have my quest cheat sheet here. So here I have all the blocker quests, or at least what I consider blocker quests, that you might have to plan a little bit ahead for. This time I've also highlighted all the production quests. So yeah, here they are. If you want to look at those, you can find the full list on the wiki page as well. Now let's move on to how many tasks should you complete. Now in most of my strategies, and where it differs I will point it out, but in most of my strategies I recommend completing 33 tasks in Town 1, 32 tasks in Town 2, and 32 tasks in Town 3. Now with the managers I recommend, which are up here, you are able to get 36 tasks in each town, but the final couple of tasks are very long, so depending on your strategy, you could skip those if you want to. Now as for the managers, for Town 1, I recommend getting the managers to these levels, for Town 2 to these levels, and so on. You can find these here. You will also find them in my upgrade plans here on the side. So yeah, that's the levels I recommend. And one thing important here is that you buy these managers or upgrade the managers to this level immediately after upgrading the building. There is no benefit to waiting. There are a lot of tasks that require a certain level of managers, but if you have already completed or gotten the manager to that level, that task will be auto-completed. So don't be scared here, just buy the required managers at once when you unlock the building. And because of that, you should make sure to have enough pots of gold before starting a new town. With my strategies, for Town 1, you need 620 pots of gold. For Town 2, you need 710 pots of gold. And for Town 3, you need 630 pots of gold for the managers. So make sure to have those before you start. Now, as for the tasks you skip in each town, you can see them here. And you'll see that for each town, there are 2 tasks that require you to upgrade a manager to a given level. These I have skipped simply because they cost too much for what they give back. In my opinion, it's not worth spending the extra pots of gold to complete these tasks. Then all of the other tasks here, this one, collect, upgrade building, these you are able to complete without any more pots of gold. They just take a bit of time to complete. So you don't need to, but you could do them if you want to. Same here, upgrade flowers, collect shamrocks, generate hats, and then upgrade buildings. Again, you can do those if you want to, but they will take a lot of time. And same for town number 3 here. So that's the number of tasks I recommend completing. As for the towns, I've already shown it a few times, my building upgrade plans. You can find both in my spreadsheet. I have some image versions here on my guide if you prefer that. And these are very simple. Let me go in here and show. So again, here are the managers. Here you can see all the different buildings or factories. And you simply follow this from the left to right and upgrade the buildings in this order. So first you upgrade hats to level 25, festival and shipyard to level 1. Then after that you upgrade festival and shipyard to level 10, but only after the upgrade 50 task has been activated. So that's the 3 things you really have to consider. You can see they have all of these upgrade tasks. In those cases, you should wait until that task is active before you continue upgrading buildings. And that's how these work. You can also look at the videos I've made on it. In those I go over or do all of these steps in one after each other, and you can see how I play. So I do recommend checking those out if you want to. Here I have them linked. And by the time you're watching this, the Town 3 one will probably be out as well. All right, I think it is time to talk about the strategies finally. Now, one quick thing I want to mention before I go through it is that, as I mentioned in the beginning, the Druid Hut has a final level that you need a special upgrade kit for. And this upgrade kit, it's quite hard to get that for free. It is possible, I will show how, but for most players, you will not get more than a level 9 Druid Hut from the event. So I have been focusing most of my strategies on getting the level 9 building, and then from the fragments you produce every day from the level 9 building, that way you can get the Archdruid. So you will get the final building or final level eventually, but it might take some days, up to 150 days, depending on your strategy. All right, let me give you a quick overview of these strategies. So I've grouped them into 4 categories. First, we have the super chill strategies, which are 2 to 2.5 towns. I will explain what I mean by 2.5 here in a moment. The standard, which are between 4 and 9 towns. With these strategies, you will not be getting any Archdruid fragments from the grand prizes. Then we have the advanced guides or strategies, which are between 10 and 13 towns. Here you will get 50 fragments for the Archdruid upgrade kit, so 1/3 of what you need. And then finally, I've just called category Archdruid. Here, between 15 and 18 towns, you will get between 100 and 150 Archdruid fragments. So that's the kind of different categories that I've grouped them into. In my spreadsheet, I have kind of grouped them into 5 instead of those 4. So we have the chill ones here, we have the kind of standard ones here, the advanced, slightly more advanced, I suppose, and then finally this one to get the full Archdruid Hut. All right. Let's start by looking at the super chill strategies, which is 2 to 2.5 towns. Now, what on earth do I mean by 2.5? I'll go over that in a moment, but first let me go over a quick pro and con list of going for these strategies. So the obvious benefit of going for this strategy is minimum effort. You don't hardly have to do anything, and you will get the main building to level 9 from the event. Of course, no Archdruid fragments, But again, you can get those from the level 9 building as you collect. So not that big of a deal in my opinion. So that's pretty much the only benefit of these. They are super chill, you hardly have to do anything, and probably for a lot of you, it is quite a good option to go for. Now, the downside for this is that you will get fewer additional rewards. You will still get a decent amount, but you will get fewer, and perhaps equally as important, you will have less choice in the rewards you get. So say you are looking to get the Mountain Reserve. It will only appear, let's say, 50% of the time. So if you are only completing 2 or 3 towns, well, you probably will not get more than 1 or 2, perhaps 3 if you're lucky of these, or perhaps even 4, as I'll show. But yeah, in any case, you will hardly get any of these. So if that is your goal, going for these strategies will not be a success. So that's the downside of this. You have less rewards and also less choice. And also you have fewer spare pots, which I think that's a good segue into why you should, or how these strategies work. So first of all, what do I mean by 2.5? Now this time around, the very first town you play, you can actually complete it after you have collected 1 million shamrocks, which is hardly any shamrocks at all. It will only take you a couple of minutes and then you can proceed. So the 2.5 town strategy here, it is technically a 3 town strategy, but this first town you only complete 7 tasks, you only buy managers for the first 4 buildings, and you will be able to complete it in a matter of minutes. So that's why I decided to call it 2.5, because even though you do play 3 towns, the first town, is over in minutes. So you play 3 towns with this one. And the 2 town strategy, you simply play 2 towns. Here you do play 2 full towns. And here my recommended managers are actually slightly different. You can find the exact details here, but with these strategies, you actually want to get all the tasks in both of these towns, which means you can't skip on, I believe it's a shipyard here, cake here, shipyard and cake, I believe it is in both of these that are different. So that's the main difference. Now, why do you need that? Well, so as I mentioned, you get, You get 3 Druid Hut levels from milestones in this event. By completing these number of tasks, and we'll go over that more in detail, you will be able to complete 75 tasks, which will give you 2 Druid Hut levels from grand prizes. That means you have 5 in total, so to get 9, you need an additional 4, which you get by buying the chests after town, or all the chests after a town 4 times. Now you might wonder, how can you do that if you only complete 2 or 3 towns? Well, when it comes to these chests here, if I go back up, where is it? Here. You can buy multiple sets of chests after a town. So the first set you buy will cost, if you buy all at the same time, will cost 1,400. But after that, it will reset and you will get another set of chests. And you can buy all of those as well, which will cost you 2,800 pots of gold if you buy all at the same time at the discount rate. And because we spend so little on managers, we can easily afford to do this. So with the 2 town strategy, after each of the towns, you will be buying 2 full sets of chests, so 12 chests after each town. And that way you will get 4 selection kits, and combining that with the others, you will get the 9 levels you need to get the Druid Hut to level 9. Now for the 2.5 town strategy, because you are completing 3 towns, you only need to buy 1 additional set after 1 town. So for each town you buy 1 set of chests, so all 6 chests. But then from one of these towns, you buy 1 additional set of 6 chests. After which, that's up to you, but probably the last one is probably where you have the pots of gold to do it. But you will have enough pots of gold. In total, the 2-town strategy here requires 10,400 pots, which is 800 less than what you get for free. And the 2.5-town strategy here only costs 8,400 pots, which is almost 3,000 fewer than what you need. So actually, with these free pots here, you could get even one more set of boxes after, or test after one more town. So you do have a decent amount of spare here that you can use for additional boxes. Just make sure you buy 6 chests enough times. All right, now the upgrade plans for both of these are pretty much the same as what I've recommended in my spreadsheet there. It's just following these with one simple exception for the 2.5-town strategy. In town 1, you only need to complete 7 tasks, which if you go here, I have a list of tasks. The 7 tasks that you complete are this one: get any manager, get hats to level 25, collect 50,000, complete this one to get the shipyard or festival manager to level 1, build flowers you should do, this one you skip, this one you complete, and this one you complete, and then you can continue. And this will only take a couple of minutes to complete. Very simple to do. Then for town 2 and 3, you simply play them as regular towns with my regular recommended managers. Now you do need to pick up 4 additional tasks from these 2 towns. There are a couple of ways to do it. You can pick up 2 additional tasks in each town. That's very simple. You could alternatively pick up 4 additional tasks in town 3, which is also quite simple. Or you could simply start a 4th town, get 4 tasks really quickly, which will only take a minute or so, and then you don't have to complete that town. So you do have some options there, for how to do it. Now the 2-town strategy, you do need to complete 75 tasks, which means you need to complete all but 1 task. So in one of the towns, you can skip one of the tasks. And if you go to the full task list here, these are the 2 towns you will be doing. The easiest one to skip is probably either this, to upgrade buildings 250 times, or this, to upgrade 200 times, because those will take quite some time. But you do have 1.5 weeks per town with this strategy, so you definitely have the time to do it. Anyways, that is a quick overview of the super chill strategies. Let's move on. Let's have a quick look at the standard strategies. These are between 4 and 9 towns. It's a little bit arbitrary how I have grouped them, but here I have grouped them based on the number of Archdruid fragments you get. So these towns here, you don't get any Archdruid kits either. Now, what's the benefit of going for any of these strategies? Well, in my opinion, it's the sweet spot between effort and rewards. Here, because you play more towns, you don't have to buy all the 6 boxes as many times. And because of that, you do have a lot more spare pots of gold. As you can see here, you have between 4 and 5 or above 5,000 spare pots with these strategies, which is a lot. What that means is that you have a lot of spare pots that you can spend on these after town rewards. And also because you play more towns, you have, say again, you want to get the mountain reserve, you have more chances of getting the mountain reserve. It means you can be more selective on when you spend pots, and if you are indeed only after the mountain reserve, you only have to spend pots of gold after towns when the mountain reserve is an option. So that's kind of the main benefit of this. Again, the downside, you still don't get any fragments of the Archdruid kit. Now here, how many chests do you need to open after each town? Well, for the 4-town strategy, you need to open all 6 chests 3 times. For the 5-town strategy, 2 times, 7-town strategy, 1 time, and 9-town strategy, 0 times. So that means that for the 4-town strategy, you do need to open chests after 3 of the 4 towns you play. So yeah, pretty much after all. And because you do have so many extra pots, you also can open all 6 chests after the 4th town as well. And then you can open more chests as well after you've opened the first 6. Now after that, beyond what you need to get the levels you need for the Druid Hut, to get that to level 9, it is up to you how much you want to spend. If, for example, you want to get extra Druid Hut levels, then you, for example, with the 7-town strategy, you have 5,260 extra pots, which means that you can buy almost, or probably 4 all chests here after 4 more towns to get 4 additional Druid Hut levels, for example. So that's one way you can spend the extra pots, buy chests after, or buy all the chests after towns to get additional Druid Hut levels. And here I'm talking mainly about saving them for next year. Or alternatively, you can buy 1 and 1 chest if there is a specific reward or rewards that you are after. Again, using the Mountain Reserve as an option. If that is what you want, you can buy chests when that is available. Now, all of these strategies here follow my recommended building upgrade plans. You can use either of these, they function the same. It's just a matter of which one is faster, but they function the same. And use these recommended managers. Again, these are the same here. So recommended, everything, nothing, no shenanigans here. You don't really have to think too much about it. Now again, the first town, as I mentioned, you can play this or complete this really quickly. If you do complete it quickly, after just a couple of tasks, you cannot treat it as one of these towns you have to complete. So for the 4-town strategy here, if you complete the first town really quickly, then you do have to do an additional 4 towns. But there is still a benefit of doing this. It means that you get 1 more set of chests to select from. So instead of getting 4 selections to choose from, you get 5. And the same with all of these, you get 1 more set of chests to look at, which is especially important or helpful if you're looking for a specific reward in these chests. Now, that's one way you could play it. Another alternative is to play the first town as a regular town, but after you've completed the number of tasks, so after you've completed 33 tasks in that town, you can then complete the town immediately, because you don't have to wait the final hours to complete or to collect the 8.4 quadrillion shamrocks that you need from all other towns. And because of that, you save 6 hours and 40 minutes of the completion time of the first town. So on one side, if you treat town 1 as a normal town, you save time. On the other, if you do it quickly, you will get some additional rewards, or this choice of rewards. So up to you which one you prefer to do. Now in terms of how long you can spend per town, with the 4-town strategy, it's 5.5 days per town, which is really, really nice. For the 5-town strategy, 4 days, 7-town, 75 hours, and 9-town, 58 hours. So all of these, you have plenty of time. As I've gone over in other videos, you can complete towns in 23 to 27 hours. So you can easily fit that in here. All right. I think it is time to move on. So, advanced strategies. Now these are, it's the same idea, but you do have to do more towns, so it does mean you have to play them quicker and so on. But I do still think these are perfectly manageable. So what are the benefits of going for this over the other strategies that I've gone over? So first of all, with these towns here, you complete even more towns, which means you can be even more selective in when you spend pots. So again, using the example of Mountain Reserve, if you're after that, if you do more towns, you have more chances of this appearing, and you do still have a lot of spare pots. With the 10-town strategy, you have 4,700 spare pots. With the 12-town, you have 3.3 thousand, and with the 13-town, you have 2.7 thousand spare pots. So you still have a lot of spare pots. And these you can use after towns to get, for example, the Mountain Reserve, or whichever other reward here you are after. So that's one, I think probably the main benefit. Another benefit is that you get 50 fragments of the Archdruid upgrade kit. That means you save 50 days of the completion time for the Archdruid, which can be quite nice. So that's another benefit of going for these. Now the downside, well, first of all, you do have fewer spare pots here compared to going for fewer towns here. As shown here, you have more spare pots, so you can buy more chests after each town, but you do still have a decent amount. And of course, this does take more effort to play all of these towns, but it is still perfectly reasonable and relatively easy to do. So for the 10 town strategy, you have 53 hours per town. The 12th town, you have 44 hours. And the 13th town, you have 40 hours per town. And as I've mentioned, you can complete towns in 23 to 27 hours. So you do still have plenty of time to complete them. So if you want to, this is still perfectly achievable. And yeah, not really that difficult if you have the time, of course. And that's a big factor of if you have the time or not. So yeah, that's one of the downsides. It does take some more effort. Now here, how many chests should you buy after each town? Well, with all of these strategies here, you do not need to buy any chests after any town to get grand prize levels. In fact, with the 12 and 13 town strategies, you're actually getting additional, and also the 10 town, you're getting additional levels there beyond what is required to get it to level 9. So you don't need to buy all chests after any town. That means you are free to spend pots as you wish. Again, here you have the number of spare pots after each town, so it is up to you how you allocate those pots. So I would keep track of the pots you have spent, and if you do have spare pots, and if you do have a reward you want in the chests after a town, then you can spend to get that. And so yeah, it's up to you when you want to spend. Now in terms of the managers and upgrade orders and all of that, again, it follows my standard recommendations, either my improved ones or the simple ones. Again, they both require the same managers. You can complete the same number of tasks. But yeah, it's up to you which one you go for. It's just a matter of which one is faster. So nothing really to talk about there. You do need some extra tasks from these two here, but that's very few additional tasks, only 2 and 4. So these you could what you could do is you can play town 1 very quickly, only completing a handful of tasks and then going on. That way you get those additional tasks, and that's probably a good way to do it, because then you get one more selection for chests. Another alternative is to complete those in a final town at the end, where you just complete a couple of these additional tasks and then don't complete it. Or another alternative, as I mentioned earlier, for each of my strategies, you do have some more tasks you can complete in each town if you have some spare time. So you could do a few extra of those. But yeah, exactly which one you go for, that's up to you. But just be aware of it. So yeah, I think it's time to move on to the final strategies. So 15 to 18 town strategies. What are the benefits of going for these? Well, the main benefit of going for these is that you can get 100 golden or Archdruid upgrade kit fragments from the 15 and 16 town strategies, and with the 18 town one you can get 150, which is what you need for the full Archdruid upgrade kit. So with this 18 town strategy, you are able to get the main building to level 10 from the event itself. Now, of course, the main downside with this strategy or these strategies is that they take a lot of effort. It is still possible, but you do need to be on it all the time. And you probably will have to, some days or some nights, you probably do have to set an alarm, get up in the middle of the night, upgrade some buildings, and then go back to sleep. So, especially with the 18 town one, it does require a lot of effort. As I've mentioned, you can complete towns in between 23 and 27 hours, which is below this, but you don't have a lot of spare time to go around. So be careful of that. Know what you're getting yourself into. It's perfectly achievable, but yeah, you do have to really want it if you want to go for it. Now, I guess it's a slight benefit here. You do get even more towns to choose from, so you get even more selections of these chests after a town. However, you do have a lot less extra spare pots. You need more pots of gold for managers in these towns, so you have less spare. And actually in the 18 town strategy, you are missing 740 pots, which you can easily get from the newsletter and from incidents. So you should still be able to get it for free, but you do need some extra pots here. So yeah, be aware of that. You will probably not be able to spend as many, for example, for the Mountain Reserve. You should still be able to get a few of them, but might not be as many as if you go for some of the strategies with fewer towns where you have more spare pots to spend. All right, now the 16 town strategy does require a few extra tasks, but again, it's very few. So here you can either, again, and for all of these strategies, you can play town 1 as just as a quick town, complete it in a couple of minutes, only do a handful of tasks. You can do that, but then you do have to do an additional 15 to 18 towns beyond it. But if you do that, you can pick up those 7 tasks from that town. Alternatively, you can do that at the end, pick up 7 additional tasks from a 17th town, which you don't have to complete. That again will only take a couple of minutes. Or if you do have some spare time, which might not be that easy, but if you do have spare time, you can also get these additional tasks from some of the other towns you play, but you might not have time for it. Now for the 18 town strategy here you're missing 18 tasks to get to 600 tasks, where you get the final 50 fragments here. So here you do need to play more. Now my recommendation here is to pick up those 18 tasks in town 1. It'll take an hour or so to do, it might take 2, and the managers I recommend is get Festival to level 1, Shipyard to level 1, Hats to level 1, Flowers to level 2, Cake to level 1, and Drinks to level 1. You don't need the Fireworks building. Now with these managers, you can follow the regular upgrade plans here. They might be shifted a little bit because you don't complete all the tasks earlier on, but you can follow these more or less. Pick up those 18 tasks, or at least close to it, and then when you have, you can move on to the next town without having to buy or unlock and get the manager for Fireworks. So that's one way you could do it. Alternatively, you can play town 1 as a regular town, which might also be a good idea because here you do save 6.5 hours at the end of town 1 if you play it as a regular town, which might help saving in a bit of time. And then at the end of the event, you can do one final town, pick up those 18 tasks there without completing that town. So yeah, the cost of that is baked into this, the number of pots you need. So yeah, just know that you do have to do these extra tasks somewhere. But if you are able to do that, and again, it is possible, although quite hard, you will be able to get enough. All right, now as for number of chests you open, that is, well, it will depend. For the 18th town strategy, you probably don't have pots to open any beyond the free chest each time. You might have some spare pots to buy 2 or 3 after some towns, but in general here you probably shouldn't buy any additional chests after a town. For the 15 and 16 town strategy, you do have a bit of pots here to play with, so you can get some chests after some town, but just be aware that you don't have a lot to spend. So yeah, you can't get that many. And again, yeah, that's one of the main downsides with these. You don't have a lot to spend for these rewards. All right, so I think it's time to move on. That's all of the strategies, but I do want to quickly end this video. It's almost an hour long, sorry for that. I do want to end it by looking at diamond spending and getting multiple Druid Huts. So in my spreadsheet, I have this separate page here where you have all from 9 to 18 town strategies. And here you can write in how many Druid Huts you want and how many free pots you expect to get. Of course, to do that, you do have to make a copy of it yourself, otherwise you can't edit. But here it will calculate how many diamonds you need in order to get, in this case, 2 fully leveled Druid Huts, or at least 2 level 9 Druid Huts. The final Archdruid level you will get in time from the fragments from the level 9 building. So as you can see here, the cost for a second Druid Hut is actually very low. It's between 3,000 and 5,000 diamonds, depending on the strategy. And I think probably the best middle ground here is to go for 12 towns. And if you're lucky with incidents, you might be able to get away with only buying 4,000 or spending 4,000 diamonds around there. But in any event, this is hardly any diamonds, I think, for level for 2 buildings. So definitely worth considering if you are spending diamonds. Now if we go up to, let's say, 3, for example, here you can see that the price does go up. Here if you go for the 9 town strategy, now it costs around 25,000, which is also relatively low. But if you go down to these strategies, you can see the price is a lot lower. And the reason for that is that if you want 3 Druid Huts, for example, with a 9 town strategy, you need 18 chests, or to buy all chests 18 times, which means you have to buy the second set quite a few times as well. Now, one thing I do want to mention that if you are going for multiple Druid Huts, especially if you're going for 3 or more, where the number of times you have to buy 6 out of 6 chests is higher than the number of towns you complete. In that case, I would play town 1 as a quick town, completed in around 5 minutes. That way you can spend after that town as well. Essentially, you get a free set of chests to buy after a town, which will save you some diamonds. So if you do plan on getting multiple Druid Huts, I would probably play the town 1 quickly for those. So yeah, if you want to, you can play around with this on your own. All right, and that's pretty much it for this video. I know it's very long, but hopefully it was helpful, and hopefully it gave you a better idea of the different strategies I have to recommend, the pros and cons of them, and how to play them, and so on. All right, again, you can find links to all of this in the description, as well as in these guides. And hopefully, again, it has been helpful. If it has, please, again, leave a like and a comment, because it does help me out. And also feel free to share it with your friends and guildmates. And one final thing before I end, let me thank my Patreons for their support. I would like to thank Homestar, Fort Prefect, Lorden, Rokonobin, Kim Kelly, Rolf the 8th, PQ the Goat, Dan Simonat, JT, Chanti, Merrick B, Hugo Count von Count, Jan Fredriksen, Luther Jonas, Filda, Susan Weiss, Rocco, Ruthen Emrys, Spike from No Remorse, Henrik Dare Klarberg, Mattia, Obsidy Obsessed, Raf, Odaril, Mike, Wolfboy, Atomic, Ruth, Flavius Belisarius, and Karen. Thanks a lot for your support. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I will see you in the future.